I'm Tal. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Evolero, a platform for events, and I'm your moderator for today. Welcome to our next session, which will deal with cities and cracking the code of innovation. Behind me, you see yourselves, all the tweets, all the pictures that are going on. I urge you to tweet, to post things to Instagram, use the event's hashtag, it's DLDTelAviv, and you're going to be featured here on the main wall at the main building and on your mobiles. So go ahead, talk, tweet. We'd love to hear your feedback about this session while it's taking place. I would like to start and invite Hila Oren. Hila is a big believer in innovation. She was actually one of the first and early adopters of our technology, among other things that she does and jumps on as a first trier. So Hila was using and still is using Evolero for their amazing Cities Summit, which took place yesterday. I'm going to tell you a bit of things about Hila. Hila is, she's the founder and CEO of Tel Aviv Global and Tourism, a city-owned company of the municipality of Tel Aviv, in charge of the global development of the city. Hila is an expert in urban development and focuses on the identification of the economic strength while incorporating the financial, digital, tourism, and creative forces in the city. One of the best quotes of Hila, I think, is, "In Tel Aviv, we are not afraid of failure. If you fear failure, you won't want to start your own business." So I welcome Hila. You can... I would like to also invite the panelists for this session. First one would be Glenn Fogel from Priceline Group. On July, Glenn was appointed as a director of the Priceline Group. He's also Executive Vice President of Corporate Development and is responsible for the company's worldwide mergers, acquisitions, and strategic alliances. Next one up is Pekka Roine. Pekka is a lookout and a pilot for both young and established companies. As an independent international business, innovation, and investment executive, Pekka is transforming organizations by exploring and defining new competitive spaces. Pekka is also often involved in company BODs and venture capital. Ken, okay, we should have started with them, but we're gonna invite them now. We have two amazing women here who are going to join the panel. First one is Maisa Balut Shamshum. She's a startup mentor in Nazareth. Welcome. And next one is Jessica Colasso from iHub Kenya, where she mentors startups and serves as director for startups. I would like to also invite Augustin Cordon. Augustin has been CEO of Fira de Barcelona, the Spanish leading trade and industrial show organizer, one of the most important European trade fair organizations. We need to talk later. He's vice president of the Mobile World Capital Barcelona, since where he leads the strategy and projects to make Barcelona the global center of the mobile industry through multiple transformational initiatives in such fields as entrepreneurship, education, health, smart cities, and retail. I would like to invite Gary Shapiro. Hi, Gary. He's the president and CEO of the Consumer Electronics Association, and he's one of the greatest champions for innovation in the US. Don't believe me? CEA represents more than 2,000 American technology companies addressing policy issues while also providing market research, training, education, industry promotion, standards development, and more. Additionally, Shapiro and his team own, produce, and run the world's largest innovation event, International CES. Yay! And last and definitely not least is Bertrand Sir. Hello. He's the Vice President of Toulouse Metropolis, Special Advisor to the Digital Economy, President Open Data France, and Toulouse Metropolis. He's also extremely photogenic, and we saw on Twitter feed that he was in a few group selfies with the mayor of TLV, so thanks for sharing. You're welcome to start. Enjoy the panel.
So, thank you. I'm going to do it in standing because I don't see otherwise all of you. We're going to have an hour and 10 minutes. How long do we have? About an hour. I think all my panelists are my friends. If they are not yet, they will be. And I took the liberty by advising Augustine yesterday and Mr. Shapiro on adjusting two more ladies to our panel, because I think if we're going to deal about cracking the innovation code in cities, we cannot talk only men. We need we need diversity. So we are here in a much larger group. And what we'll talk in the hour that is coming is how we're cracking the innovation code. We're not going to talk about how Tel Aviv did it, although I've been asked about it every hour. And frankly, I don't have one answer, but I do want to hear these guys over here for their cities, for other cities, and I would like, and we would like, to hear the audience later and to ask you. We would like to have it like a little bit like a saloon, not a regular panel that we talk a long distance, but rather short messages, so we can really, after an hour, come and be inspired and feel that when we went out of here, we had more idea of how do we do it as for cracking the innovation code. So, I would like to start with one question for all of you. And each one, of course, at his perspective. And I will start from Helsinki, because it's so cold there. I've been there just half a year ago. And people, some of the days are so short, it's only 3 hours, so probably they have so much time to sit at home and invent Angry Birds. But how do you see as cracking the innovation code for cities? What does it make it for cities all over the world?
Thank you. In the last decade, everyone in Israel asked me, why does Israel not have a Nokia? Why does Finland have this mobile phone giant? Interestingly, no one asked me anymore. Nokia is no more. Many of you saw a big sign at Ben Gurion in the last decade, connecting people. Well, the people didn't want to be connected the way Nokia was connecting them. The advice was not coming from the biggies, but you should listen to the small guys, the iPhones, the Androids, and so on. Further, in the last decade, in Nokia, there was all this talk of, 3G and 4G and 5G and 6G being the sort of code for communication. To the point that the Finnish government believed that bullshit, and at one stage, 10 years ago, said, Wi-Fi is not needed in Finland. What a crucial and bad decision, because here we have come to the core of the issue. Online connectivity, the infrastructure is the absolutely key thing. So, many of us believe that roads should be interconnected. The online connection is 100 times more important, and we are just failing on that one. We are not as advanced as we need to be.
So Pekka from Helsinki says online connectivity. I want to go just to the other opposite, where it's very hot, and I don't mean you, Gary, because you're not for Las Vegas, you are for Washington. So I'm going to approach you, Jessica, in Nairobi. What do you think for your should be cracking the innovation code? What's the hint? What's the tip? What's your advice to other cities here that are listening to you? How do you see it from your perspective?
Thank you very much, Sheila. From a Kenya and Nairobi perspective, I think what we need to do is democratize innovation. And what do I mean by democratizing innovation? If you read Eric von Hippel's book, chapter 9 has a whole lot of information on that. But the main key ingredient is user-centered innovation, and it's using the communities themselves. As I said in the panel yesterday, the iHub creates what you call this. The iHub is a tech hub, a technology hub in Nairobi, background information, and we're kind of like creating this community of technologies. But what we realize is that the communities beyond technology have their own problems. They understand the context better. So using the approach of democratizing innovation and using the human-centered design approach, you can actually go out into the communities, ask them what problems they're facing, what are the opportunities, and how we can work together with different subject matter experts, academia, government, and all other organizations, bring them together and kind of do this creative kind of approach to actually solve the city's problems.
You know, you actually make me goose pimples. I'll tell you why. Because if you were not here on the panel, we are all very, very democratic, Europe, United States, we wouldn't think to say that. And when we're thinking of our next product, our next cities, we have to be diverse, not only men and women, but all contents, all over the world. It is so important. So first of all, thank you for that, for bringing us an insight that for us is like, we didn't think of it. But I would like to go now to Toulouse. Your company wishes to take Toulouse another step forward with innovation, but I don't want you to talk about Toulouse yet. I would like to hear you. How do you think cities that are listening here, what is your hint for them for cracking the innovation code?
Thank you for the question, and it's a good pleasure for us to be in Tel Aviv, because Tel Aviv is, we've joined with Toulouse, and it's very important. It's the first time I know that politics come here for speaking about innovation and digital economy in Toulouse. It's in Tel Aviv, and for us it's very important. Toulouse is the fourth metropolis town in France, which is 1.2 million habitants in Toulouse citizens. It's a very important town, which is the youngest after Paris in France, with 100,000 students. So it's very important for us for innovation, experimentation, digital economy. But Toulouse is also the capital of industry, Airbus industry, and electronics and space. So it's very important in Europe with system of Galileo, with the GPS French.
Okay, so you gave information about Toulouse, but what do you think should be a hint or a tip for us for cracking the innovation code in other cities?
Why?
You're getting to that.
Okay. Then Toulouse, we have a strategy, a digital strategy important, with 2 points. First, we have the French Tech label, which is a state French Tech label, with it about digital economy, and in a few couple of days we've got the label, and it is important for us that it's all the area and the startups who are working about improvement and digital economy. This is the first point of your strategy. And then we decide to have a global approach of smart cities in Toulouse, which is a new approach. And because we have many experimentation, for instance, for energy, about grid, smart grid, or mobility for transport, very different application. And then we decide to have a different approach of all the town in France to be improved.
So we'll hear later on, how do you see the smart cities? Because, you know, smart city is like a tagline now for anything that's in innovation. Of course, Augustine says like that, but we'll talk it. Gary, you have so much knowledge and so much experience. The mic is yours. How do you see, give us our hint, your hint for how to crack the innovation code, and we also would like from you to hear some hints for Tel Aviv, because we won't talk about Tel Aviv.
I could do both, but can I hold off on the Tel Aviv question
Yes,
for a second? So every city is unique. It has its own culture, people, strengths, and weaknesses. And I view innovation for a city the way I view a business with a product. You have to figure out what your product is. And on the one hand, there's the marketing and sales and communication, which are trying to say what a very exaggerated version sometimes. And then there's what you can actually deliver. So you have to spend a lot of time figuring out what you can deliver. And then coming up with a very crisp, clear positioning statement, a marketing statement for your city. So you can attract that type of innovation. So I've written a couple of books about innovation in several hundred columns, and I go around the world and everyone says, what can we do to be like Silicon Valley? And my answer is nothing. That Silicon Valley has.
This is a writer of a bestseller says nothing.
Well, you have your own unique. They have their own, just like Israel. It's what could I do to be more like Israel, which to me actually has more innovation per person than Silicon Valley. So what can you do? You figure out what it is you're good at. And some countries or cities are good at telecommunications. Some are good at biotech. Some are good at other things. I often think you need a university nearby that's good at it, and there's partnerships which have to be developed. You have to encourage students to go into that area, and you need companies and you need small businesses that are encouraged, and you create an ecosystem, and then you promote the heck out of that ecosystem. And you also can do things that are uniquely encourage innovation. In Tel Aviv, for example, I learned today that there's a tax benefit given. And I was laughing because what tax benefits do entrepreneurs need because they have no revenue? Well, it turns out that in Tel Aviv, correct me if I'm wrong, you pay rent, and that rent has a special property tax added on, which is maybe unique elsewhere, compared to elsewhere. So if you're considered to be doing research and development, you do not pay that. That's a great strategy.
You pay a reduced one.
A reduced. Another strategy I've heard is that if you get investment in a startup, there's forward payment of taxes. In other words, you will not have to pay taxes for 5 years off any income you have if you are a startup, if you settle in that city. So there's ways you can attract, there's ways you can position, there's policies, and it's marketing, sales, and communication, and it's relentless. And that's really important for any successful venture, is just not the substance of the product itself, but getting that message out in a way with a story that's clear, that's definable, and is compelling to people. And you need passionate salesmen and women.
Passion we saw when you were just here. I'm with you on passion. Passion is the thing. But you're saying if I go to the bottom line, you have to be professional. One thing that you're professional at and bring students around. This is for the city, the first hint. Was I right or I didn't get it right?
Well, not just students, but everyone in the community should understand what that is.
Okay.
What we do in Las Vegas, for example, we educate the cab drivers on who we are so they could talk to the people that come to Las Vegas about who we are. And we give them awards if they get the answers right in contests, because everyone you touch in an organization should know the message. Every employee of ours has to know our message. Every alumni, every intern that leaves, they're our ambassadors forever. They're our brand ambassadors, and it's the same with cities' residents.
You're absolutely right, like a coalition of messages. I want to take the mic all the way to Glenn.